Welcome into New York City for the last time. The next time Riders Block is on the air, at least with me, it'll be from Los Angeles, California. So we're going to go out with a bang. We've got Hawks Guard Kevin Huerter on the program. We're breaking out date swipe for March Madness and a little baseball preview starting again for the last time for this show from New York City. Opening day, the real opening day that's not in the middle of the night is tomorrow. It's finally here, so let's bounce around the majors. I'll give you some predictions. We all know the Yankees are the odds-on favorite to win not just a really interesting American League East, but the World Series this year. You see the odds. They are loaded. They are talented. They have one of the best offenses and run-producing teams we've seen in the history of the game. But they also got some depth in their pitching. It's one of the reasons, as Aaron Boone pointed out in the lead-up to opening day, that the Yankees are, for a lot of people, the team to beat, certainly in their division.
Depth, you're talking about Domingo Germán, Loaizaga, and then guys that'll emerge along the way that you don't necessarily account for. We have a lot of internal options and a lot of internal options that, especially in a fill-in role, are capable of being very good pitchers for us.
I'm going to go all gut on this one, and I'm gonna fade Vegas a little bit. It's not like it's a big fade. Yankees 4-5, Red Sox 6-5 to win the division. I like Boston. I know they lost Kimbrel, their closer. I know their bullpen is a major question, but there's something about Mookie Betts and the reigning champions and the confidence in Boston that has me feeling like it's the Red Sox who are going to win this division this year. It's going to be a close call. Either team has a real chance. But if you hold me down to an answer, which we're doing here on the show, give me the Red Sox. It's a lot easier when you move over to the Central, the American League Central. As dominant as the AL East is in terms of not one but two teams in the Sox and the Yankees who can win a World Series, I'm going with the team we're all going with, including Vegas, the Indians. Not so much because I believe in Cleveland. Offensively, they're not the team they've been the last few years. They certainly dodged a major bullet, as did my fantasy team, with Jose Ramirez not just in the clear, negative on the MRI, should play on opening day tomorrow. But the reality is that this is the worst division in baseball. There's not a team that I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the Royals. I'm not worried about the White Sox. I know some people think Detroit could be interesting. I'm not one of them. Just visited with one of the guys who was really close to that organization, and the Indians internally feel the same way I think a lot of us do from the outside looking in. The question isn't whether or not Cleveland wins the division. You might be able to do with 88, 89 wins. They should win more games than that this year. It's what happens when you roll into the postseason, because as we move to the American League West, it's not just the Yankees and the Red Sox in the American League that are good enough to win the whole thing. The Astros, the champions from a couple years ago, remain absolute studs. I love Verlander. I love his second life, his second act. We know what that offense can do. This is a team that is built for now. They didn't get it done last year, but certainly to win the AL West, I absolutely love. And so now I got to commit myself to what the playoff picture is going to look like in the American League. Of course, I'm going Yankees as another wild card team. And I still maybe I'm a sucker for Billy Beane. Give me Oakland as well as another team, the other team in that wild card. Of course, it's a coin flip when you get into a one-game playoff. I hate the one-game playoff. I think the Yankees still get it done because there's no justice in teams. And we could see this again this year. Both the Yankees and the Red Sox can win 100 games this season. Obviously, only one can win that division. Let's move to the National League. The National League East is really interesting. And whether or not it plays itself out in terms of who wins the division, at least storyline-wise, it revolves around this guy right here, former National, now a Philly, Bryce Harper, and the prediction he's got along with a lot of other folks.
We want to bring a title back to D.C. I want to be on Broad Street on a freaking boat or whatever, a thing, bus, whatever it is, and, have a trophy over my head and do that, because that's what it's all about.
Come on, man. Yeah. Hey, this is a quick aside. Bryce, my guy, I know that clip's a little old, but you got to get the city right. Although I do agree with Bryce. I think the Nationals, I'm not sure about a World Series championship bringing it to D.C., but I'm with some of the folks out there, some of the prognosticators, talking to some friends who played in the majors and guys that used to be big league managers. I'm with this idea that the Nationals, minus Bryce Harper, are going to see a lot of those young guys step up. There's going to be a chip on their shoulder. I like Gabe Kapler a lot, the skipper in Philly. how he handles that locker room, how he handles Bryce Harper, the pressure of that contract. Give me the Nationals. And I know a lot of Mets fans on the other side of this door, which I'll be leaving very soon for LA, will tell you that 2 of the 5 betting favorites to win the Cy Young and DeGrom and Syndergaard are part of that team. It just feels like the Nationals to me. We move now to the National League Central. Look, full disclosure, I'm a Cubs fan. I have trouble being unbiased, and I recognize the Brewers won the division last year in that 163rd regular season game. The Cardinals' over-under number this year is somewhere around 92, and the Cubs certainly have some questions, not the least of which is their bullpen and their closer situation. I still think that Chicago is a force to be reckoned with this year. I know that I'm a fan, but I buy John Lester and his ability to win games more than most people do. That offense is absolutely stacked. I think Chris Bryant has a huge year, returns to his MVP caliber. A little bit of a down year last year. Across the board, I love that Cubs offense. I believe in the Cubs, and I'm sure my fandom is kicking in a little bit. So disrespect to the Brewers on accident, disrespect to the Cards. Sorry, Cards fans, on purpose. I really like the Cubs in that division. The West preview is the same answer that you've probably gotten from me and other people for the last 7 years. The Dodgers have won 6 consecutive NL West titles. It's absurd. If they go to the World Series this year, they'll be the first team since the Yankees in 1923 to go to the World Series 2 consecutive times, fail to lose, and then return, and yet their depth is absolute. I'm not worried about Clayton Kershaw. His over-under number in terms of total wins this year is really high. Walker Buehler's not going to be on a pitch count. He is an absolute stud. He has ace material. Julio Urias is back from that injury. Now, they're going to be a little more cautious with him. I visited with skipper Dave Robertson yesterday, but the confidence in LA, the ridiculous talent, what Cody Bellinger has become, Corey Seager, who was number 3 in MVP voting his rookie year, had a bit of a sophomore slump and then was out last year with Tommy John. I know the Dodgers keep making the World Series and not getting it done. I know before that the Dodgers kept winning the NL West and not getting it done, but the Rockies have taken a step back. I don't buy the Diamondbacks offense at all with Goldschmidt gone. I love LA to get it done again, and I'm going to throw some love to the Cardinals as my wild card team. Give me the Cardinals as my wild card team playing. This is tough. I almost went Rockies, but I feel like the Braves are coming. They've got some of that experience. They were surprised last year. So give me St. Louis Braves. Here then is my National League playoff picture. Same names, right? This is actually the exact prediction I had last year minus the Braves. I like the Cubs. I like the Dodgers. I like the Nationals. And I think Philly's on the outside looking in. Give me Cardinals and Braves as the wild card teams. And in the World Series, I'm going Red Sox against Dodgers. And I think the Dodgers finally get it done. Andrew Friedman, president of operations on the Dodgers side. Saber Matrician will tell you, you build your team to get to the postseason, and then you just flip a coin and hope you can win those 7-game series. Dodgers haven't gotten it done the last few years. I think they do this year. Your 2019 World Series champions, LA Dodgers. I'm California dreaming 2 days before I moved to California, but that's not why I took them. I just think there's something about that team, Corey Seager's return, Walker Buehler's emergence, Urias and his ridiculous talent, the fact he's healthy, and that Kershaw, if he's ever going to get it done, has to do it before the window closes. We have a lot of stuff to get to, about 15 minutes. We've got Date Swipe on March Madness, give you some predictions there. But first, this guy's a really interesting player for the Atlanta Hawks. Was at Maryland last year. He's a rookie. Kevin Huerter is going to join me on the show, Writer's Block, when we come back to New York City and CBS Sports HQ in just a minute. All right, welcome back into New York City. Kevin Huerter, Atlanta Hawks guard, joins me live right now on the program. Kevin, thanks for making time, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Great rookie season for you. What's been the biggest surprise, the biggest challenge, the thing you didn't anticipate about life in the NBA?
Biggest thing I didn't anticipate is probably all the free time you get, and for how much you're working out and how much you're on the court, and for how long the season is. You have so much time to yourself that's spent on the court, and unfortunately not like college, like everybody's used to, where you have all your friends around you and you get to do different things. And you hear a lot of guys are really kind of on their own. You have to figure out a way to make use of your time.
All right, so you and your backcourt teammate Trae Young are called Fire and Ice. Are you a Game of Thrones fan? Have you filled that time re-watching Game of Thrones in preparation for the final season in a few weeks?
Yeah, I was going to watch the final season here coming up. And when I was in college, I watched the whole entire thing, so I'm definitely a big fan of it. But, yeah, that was a picture, I think, a fan tweeted at Trey. There's Sunday he retweeted. It was a fire nice thing. He kind of picked up on it, and it hasn't stuck too much yet, but it's kind of a funny nickname for sure.
Amazing nickname. Only prediction I'll ask you for in the interview: who's on the Iron Throne when it's all said and done?
The Iron Throne. That's a really good question. I definitely have some predictions what's going to happen with the White Walkers, but Iron Throne could really be anyone. I don't want to make a prediction with that one.
All right, I'll just throw Jon Snow in there. You can go with it if you want to. I want to ask you about Trey. I mean, he's been incredible of late. A lot of pressure on him where he was drafted, traded for Luka Doncic. You see him up close and personal. What kind of a player can he be going forward? What kind of a backcourt can you and he be going forward in Atlanta?
There was definitely a lot of pressure on him right away, and it's kind of pressure that he never asked for with the trade on draft night and how great of a start that Luka got off to. And Trey kind of got a lot of heat for that, and it did bother him a little bit just with every single night, whether he wanted to or not. It was people were always comparing him to stats of what Luka was doing that night. I feel like in a way he couldn't just be himself and he couldn't play, and then just like I've realized as a rookie, it kind of takes you a little bit off your feet and get used to the NBA game. And really, for the second half of this year, he's been unbelievable. And he's been the rookie of the year in my eyes. And he's just gone into every single game, and he plays confident. He plays like he was in college, and every team has to go in a game plan on him just for how dynamic he is offensively and what he can do with the ball.
He's been incredible. You've been impressive. I know you guys haven't had the season that you want, but in the NBA, it's a longer timeline sometimes to get to winning than it is in college. What is the future for the Atlanta Hawks, and how quickly do you think that future, the future you guys want, can arrive?
Yeah, we think it's bright. And, that started really last year when I think, Travis was brought in, and, this year with Coach Pierce getting brought in, and, rookies like, the three that we have, and with John already being here so young, we think it's bright. And, really since the All-Star break, we saw a stat, and, we averaged the most points in the league since the All-Star break. We're really kind of starting to figure it out offensively. We've turned that up now on the other end of the court, but going into this off season, obviously the core group that we have is going to obviously work really hard to get better. And I'm sure if we're not bring in one or two more draft picks with us and any type of free agents, and so we think it's bright, but we're not trying to skip steps. Just keep getting better every day.
Yeah, Trae Young gets compared a lot to Steph Curry. You mentioned Travis. That's Travis Schlenk, the general manager. He was a top official in the front office of the Golden State Warriors. And having talked to Travis and people around the NBA, there's this anticipation he's going to try to create a similar thing in Atlanta. I know he was really excited about you, about Trae, about the guys he got to draft. Are you guys aware? Do you think about what happened in the Bay, what the Warriors became, and the comparisons, not just to Trae Young, but to the entire team trying to do that in the East?
Yeah, really. We know just the Warriors before the Kevin Durant signing, they're all homegrown. And they went through a little rough patch after the Baron Davis years where, they're kind of trying to figure it out. And they drafted Steph, drafted Clay, drafted Draymond, and they kind of built it from the ground up. And, those guys are obviously, the franchise, and what they've been able to do really the last 5 years is incredible. But I think that's really the blueprint of the NBA is, everybody's trying to be like the Warriors, have guys on the court who can pass, shoot, and dribble, and can switch defensively and just be really tough to guard. And so we're trying to find our own pieces and figure out how we can make everything work.
Kevin, one of the coolest moments, I think, of the NBA season, Dwayne Wade and his goodbye tour, his retirement tour, really neat moment between you guys. I covered Dwayne earlier in my newspaper writing career, my columnist writing career, before I was doing this. You were I think you were 5 when Dwayne Wade was a rookie. Can you talk to us about that moment, what it meant, and what Dwayne Wade has meant to you and to the game?
Yeah, that was crazy. And really all growing up, not only myself, my brother, my friends, we all idolized Dwayne Wade. And, I watched a lot of college basketball growing up, but the NBA I did watch was D Wade. And we used to have his shoes, and he was one of the reasons I wore number. He probably wasn't the only reason, but he's always been someone that we've looked up to just with the way he plays, how hard he plays, and he does it right both on and off the court. He's somebody who's with the same franchise for the major part of his career. And, then once I finally got to this level and was able to play against him, that was incredible.
All right, one last NBA question for you, then I want to talk a little March Madness with you. But you've had a chance, obviously, you're in the Eastern Conference, to see all the teams. And there are a lot of really good teams atop the East. Based on what you've seen, based on the teams that you've played, who is, in your mind, if you had to make best guess, the team that's best equipped to come out of the East and challenge whoever it is from the West in the finals this year?
There's really a couple. And, everyone, you look at Boston and Philly and Toronto and Milwaukee is really, really good. But, the Pacers can surprise some people with how hard they play. And, if I were to pick one, I think it would be Milwaukee, just with the level that Giannis is playing at, and then the type of team that they've been able to build around with Brook Lopez being able as a 5 to space the floor and shoot for him, and Chris Middleton and Malcolm Brogdon, the way that they've been playing and played so defensively. I just think they're a really complete team, and right now they might have the best player in the NBA.
Kevin, you're a Maryland guy. Big Ten, really impressive tournament. And not in every case, but in at least one case, Big Ten teams went down to Big Ten teams. Michigan State had to play Minnesota in the second round. What's your assessment of the conference you played in last year, just in terms of how they've comported themselves in the big dance?
It's been great. I think the Big Ten has proved themselves all season long. Whether that started with my team, Maryland, or Michigan has been great all year. Purdue, it's crazy how Purdue can rebuild. And, they lose 4 starters from last year, and then they still, I think they won the Big Ten or even tied for it. And going into the tournament as a seed, and obviously Michigan State is the same way. Really good every year. They lose 2 lottery picks from last year, and they're still able to do what they do. And so Big Ten has been great so far, and it wasn't that teams had to play each other, but I think we're definitely well represented.
I know it's a heartbreaker for Maryland. My family's from Iowa. We had our own heartbreaker against Tennessee. Are you able to root for Michigan State, even though that's a rival, or do you root for LSU, even though they just beat you? Who are you hoping wins that next game?
It's tough. Obviously, you don't want to root for either team, but I'll be rooting for Michigan State just for the Big Ten tie. I thought Maryland, that was a game that they could have beaten. LSU, obviously, Waters made a great play down the stretch, but if LSU were to go far in that tournament, it's tough not to think about as a Maryland fan. Could have been. So I'll be rooting for Michigan State.
You know what? That's an unfair quote. We'll just say that. I'll just say this for you. If Virginia Tech doesn't beat Duke, go Duke. Take down LSU or Michigan State. Avenge Maryland. Kevin Huerter, really enjoyed the conversation, man. Congrats on the success. It's really fun watching what you guys are building in Atlanta. Appreciate your time and hope to do it again soon.
Thank you very much. Seriously, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Kevin Huerter, I love that Hawks team. They're interesting, they're young, and Schlenk, the GM, you're going to know his name in a few years. Very impressive guy. Very cool of Kevin Huerter to make some time for us here on the show. We got a few more things. We got some data. We went inside the numbers on some of Major League Baseball's favorites, and we've got Date Swipe meets March Madness when we come back to Writer's Block in just a minute. All right, welcome back into Writer's Block. There they are, the projected favorite to be the best team in baseball this year, the New York Yankees, and they're the focus of at least the beginning of Inside the Numbers as we get into some of the data on the 2019 Major League Baseball season with the number 103.1 about those Yankees. Not just the favorites to win the World Series with 5-1 odds. Sportsline also agrees and thinks that they'll be the best team in baseball by a long shot. Sportsline projecting the Yanks to win the most games this year at 103.1. The over-under number, depending on the book you look at, 97. Might want to put some cheese down on the over. Next up, 54. On the opposite side of the spectrum, Sportsline projects another team from the AL East to win the fewest number of games in the big leagues. That is the team they open against, the Yankees, the Baltimore Orioles. Sportsline only projects the O's to win a measly 54 games. Have fun, Orioles fan, Jason Lockenfora, poor guy. Next up is 5.2. Mike Trout recently signed that $430 million extension with the Angels. Sportsline says he is worth the most wins of any player in baseball. 5.2 to be exact. The Angels are projected to win 82.9 games. Without Trout, it would be down to 77.7. Next up is 2.6. Another superstar who switched teams. We heard from him earlier. He got confused about what city he plays in now. Bryce Harper joins the Phillies. That's in Philadelphia, Bryce. And with that, Sportsline projects the Phillies to have right around 2.6 more wins than they would have had without him. Harper also raises Phillies' chances to make the postseason by almost 10%. Significant jump. 1.9 is next on Inside the Numbers. The other megastar to switch teams in the National League, Manny Machado, doesn't affect the Padres too much at this stage at least. Young team, good farm system. This year, San Diego only projects to win 1.9 more games, and their playoff chances are raised from 0.7% all the way to almost, good job guys, 1% of 0.9. 42.4. Sportsline's projection for the 2019 Home Run King might be a bit of a surprise. Not Aaron Judge, not JD Martinez, not Nelson Cruz. Nope. Oh, it is Nelson Cruz. That is a surprise, including to me. Who's telling you this? Sportsline has Cruz hitting just 42 homers. And lastly, 18.8. With the pitchers here, Sportsline loves the Indians. Corey Kluber projected to win the most games at around 19. And Sportsline has 4 Indian starters projected to be in the top 15 for wins this season in a very big AL Central. Indians pitching staff should be pretty good. The offense a little bit shaky. Do you know what's not shaky? Date swipe and March Madness. And we put them together. This is the magic that we have. All right, this is exciting. It's Sweet 16 date swipe. Who are the pretenders? Who are the contenders for my college basketball heart? All right, we start with the Zags. Yeah, man, you're strong. You're underrated. You show what you can do. I'm in. You got an offense. You know, we all like people who can score. All right, let's do it. Tennessee. Oh, Tennessee. You know what? You're talented. You're extremely well coached. I love the Barnes, Coach Barnes redemption story, but you beat my Hawkeyes. It made my father really angry. It isn't fair, but things aren't fair in love or war or basketball. No. Swiping left, Tennessee. I want nothing to do with you. All right, let's get into little Michigan. I actually feel like Texas Tech, the Chris Beard thing is real. He's legit, the personification in some ways of Bobby Knight. They're defensively the best team in the country. I feel like they're going to win, but I took Michigan to my Final Four, and sometimes you got to go with the, is it the girl who brought you, the guy who brought you, the Michigan that brought you? I'm in Michigan. I'm loyal. Let's go out again. I took you to the championship game last year. It was a good look. Uh-oh. We got a little bit of Oregon, huh? I love Dana Altman. I think he's an absolute stud. I'm a fan. And I should say Virginia because I think Virginia's going to win the whole thing. I'm sorry. You know what? I was about to swipe Altman. Momentum's real. You're done. I'm going Virginia. I got to stay loyal. All right, LSU. Okay, LSU, interesting team. You won a close game or two. You still have that drama with your head coach in purgatory. LSU, I gotta sell on you. I'm going Michigan State. I feel like the Big Ten didn't get the love they deserved. I don't like that Michigan State had to go through Minnesota and almost Maryland. Come on, committee. You're better than that. UNC. I mean, what do you want? Blue Bloods, right? Royalty. Who doesn't like a basketball team / knight, prince, and shining armor? That analogy did not work, but UNC does for me. I'm totally in. Duke, learn to shoot the three. I don't like the close call, but sometimes dodging those bullets, like Neo in the Matrix, is part of the route to greatness. I'm absolutely in. Oh, and now it's Kentucky. Kentucky, I have you in my Final Four. I want to believe in you. But Houston, man, they are legit. I was wrong on Houston. You're injury riddled. Cal, you and I have had some moments over the years. Am I UK? I'm selling UK. I think you're not going to get it done. Man, feels good to commit to some of these teams. I gotta love that date swipe. As a happily married man, I get confused on which way I'm supposed to swipe, but I figured it out. And I know which teams I'm buying. Chris Hassel taking over in just a moment. I'm going to stick around, talk some March Madness with him for a couple minutes. Akeem Dermish taking over on Sportsline in 30 minutes. This is our last show from New York City. It's been great. It's been real. We love you, New York City. And next time you see me here on Writer's Block, I'll be doing it from Los Angeles, California. So see you out west. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week.